Hey everyone, this is Rachel from AddisonJames Knits, and I'm so excited to show y'all how to create the AJK Elysian Crochet wall hanging. It is so dark and gloomy today. It's been raining for literally 6 days straight, so forgive me for the the moody lighting of the tutorial today. But first, what I really wanted to do was to make this wall hanging in at least a couple of different types of yarns, because I know I have followers from tons of different countries, especially in Canada, and I wanted to make sure that y'all could at least get your hands on something similar. The cream colored wall hanging that's in the pictures was actually created with Bernat Maker Home Dec, DEC. I love it. It's freaking fantastic, but I have discovered that there's several other yarns out there that are either extremely similar or can mimic the look of the wall hanging. You can honestly do this wall hanging in any size 5 bulky yarn. The cool thing about using a tubular knit yarn is it gives that really awesome, I don't know, it's like a texture almost of that wall hanging that makes it just really eye-catching. Tubular knit yarn is pretty cool. It's, if you can see, it's like a chainette style. It's knit in a tube, and it's usually stuffed with a tiny bit of stuffing, and that kind of just makes, especially for puff stitches, y'all, this is the best. It's super soft. Like I said, so the cream one was knit up with Bernat Maker Home Dec. Today I'm going to do the demonstration in Red Heart Strata, and it's literally exactly the same thing. Like it's made the same as the Bernat. It's just as soft as the Bernat, and I really love this coral color. It's super cute. Also, I discovered Loops and Threads has one. It's called Loops and Threads Woolike Chunky, and it works just as well too. I'm not sure that it has either stuffing or as much stuffing in it, but honestly, if you can get your hands on any of those three, they'll work great. So please excuse the dog noises in the background. I have a humongous golden doodle puppy that's literally breathing down my back right beside me. So all right, let's get started. It's such a simple pattern. It's very easy to do. It's literally just crocheted. It's essentially just a puff stitches in a rectangle, and then you add fringe and a stick. So I just want to show y'all though these slanted puff stitches, because it is a little bit tricky on that first row when you're having to put them into that foundation row. It can get a little fiddly. So I just wanted to kind of show y'all that. First, so you're just, oh, and I'm using, so I told you about the yarn supplies. I'm using a size 6 or letter J crochet hook. This is my super cute Furls Candy Shop hook. It's not metal, it's like a polymer plastic type thing, and I really like it because it's really light. It's not as heavy as some of their other ones. I hold my hook really weird, and this one just kind of fits in my hand really nicely. Also, I thought it was freaking adorable with the pink. Like, come on. So, all right, so all you need is a size 5 bulky yarn, preferably the tubular knit style, a size 6 or J crochet hook, a nice little stick or a dowel rod. Honestly, you don't even have to have that. You can just hang it like from a piece of yarn, but yeah, to get that cute little boho look, a nice little stick from your yard, and then just some sharp scissors, and that's all you need. So we start out, these puff stitches, you make them in a multiple of 3 plus 3 at the end. So for the pink wall hanging, which is just a tiny bit larger than the cream colored wall hanging, I'm gonna do 18 stitches plus 3, so 21. And make sure you do this foundation chain really loosely. The reason why is those puff stitches take up a lot of room. Like, I'll grab the one in progress and show you. See, look at that texture. Isn't that amazing? And that the chainette style tubular knit just gives that crazy awesome texture. But anyway, do you see how wide that stitch is? That's only 2 stitches. That's a puff stitch with a double chain inside of it. A double crochet, sorry, inside of it. So this thing is gonna stretch like crazy. So when you first do your chain, your foundation chain, you're gonna think that is way small for a wall hanging. I promise you it's gonna grow. So this is only 9 puff stitches, and that's how big this thing is. There's my hand for scale. All right, so we're going to do 18 foundation chains. Make sure you crochet them loosely. Do you see all that room I even have on my slip knot? 1, 2, 3, and you can just pull that bad boy out, just loosen them up. 4, 5, and if you have really tight tension, I would suggest even going up to a bigger hook. You can even, I've even made these with like an L hook. You can honestly, gauge is really not that big of a deal in this project. So you can use really whatever hook you'd like as long as it's substantial enough to work with the yarn. And I lost my count when I was talking to y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, loose, remember? 18, and then multiple of 3, and that's all that is gonna do is just count as your the side of your project. 1, 2, 3. All right, so the pattern is literally just a double crochet stitch and then a puff stitch around it. What you're gonna do, your double crochet is going to act as like almost like the little stick around which your puff stitch is crocheted, and that makes it even puffier and gives it that really awesome texture. So skip those first 3 turning chains that you did, that +3 at the end. Here's our 4th chain right here. So I'm gonna place a double crochet, and I'm so sorry y'all, I'm the most awkward crocheter in front of a camera. Place a double crochet stitch in that 4th chain from your hook. And remember, I'm working loosely. If you have tight tension, seriously go up, because the puff stitch lends itself to having all that extra yarn to make it super puffy. All right, so what we're gonna do next, yarn over. Now, don't feel like it's tricky. It's just, for this first foundation row, it's kind of fiddly. After that, it's a breeze. Do you see that 3rd chain right there that I didn't work into, that we skipped? Yarn over and stick your hook in that 3rd chain. Pull up a loop. Now when I pull up, I am gonna really pull up. Do you see that? Like, I'm pulling up. I'm pulling up higher almost than that double crochet stitch right there, because you're creating that puff stitch and you gotta have yarn to make it puffy, right? So yarn over once, yarn over again, go back into that same one. We're not going into our double crochet one, we're going into the one behind it, right? Go in again and pull up a loop. When you pull up a loop, pull it up, right? See that? Yarn over 3rd time, go back in again, pull up a loop, and go slow. This first foundation chain part, go slow. There's no reason to go fast. Do you see, first of all, so you should have 7 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And do you see all that yarn I pulled up there? Now watch this, freaking magic. Just pull through all 7 hook loops, and then chain 1, and that closes your puff stitch. Make sure to chain 1. Look at our cute little puff stitch. Isn't she adorable? I love her. This yarn is so freaking fantastic for puff stitches, I'm telling y'all. All right, so that chain 1 doesn't count in your stitch count. It literally is part of the puff stitch, because you gotta close it. All right, so after your chain 1, we're not chaining again, because we want our puff stitches to slant, right? So you did your puff, chain 1, but remember, chain 1's part of it. Skip the next chain right here, go to the next one. So you're doing 2 chains from your last double crochet. Go ahead and make a double crochet, stitch loosely, and you're just gonna do it all over again. See that last one right there, that last chain that we skipped? Yarn over, go into that last chain, and remember, this part is fiddly because of the foundation. If you know how to do a foundation single crochet, you know, blah, 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 whatever, you can do that. It might make it a little easier. Just get past this first row and it's fine. All right, I pulled up. Look at all that I pulled up, right? Yarn over, go back in again, pull up. And it might look a little messy. It might look all loopy and stuff. Don't freak out. Remember, we're going for texture and puffiness, so that's gonna be okay. See that big old loop there that's hanging out? Like, don't worry about it. Pull up. Now we went in 3 times, so we've got 7 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through, chain 1 to close. Oh my goodness. Look at your cute little puffs. Now look at this. See how I can stretch it out already? Like, that's 2 puffs. Look how big it is. So when I first did that initial chain, you're looking at it like, that is the tiniest wall hanging ever. No, it grows, right? Okay, skip 1 foundation chain, go in here. We're gonna do it. So you're literally, that's your pattern, is a double crochet, yarn over and do your puff stitch. You're gonna go in 3 times to this fiddly little, oh my gosh, y'all, I'm the worst on camera when it comes to foundation stitches. I even did it loose and I can't get it in there. Too much coffee too, my hands are shaking. Go in once, go in twice. See, if you're having problems, don't even think you're alone, because I have made this wall hanging probably 20 times and still have problems with this first row. By the way, these are insane market sellers. Like, if you do markets, incredible. Also, you can get a 3-pack. I'll link it in the blog. You can get a 3-pack right now on Amazon of this Red Heart Strata for, it's around $14 or $15, which is awesome because these tubular knit yarns are usually a little more expensive. I think the Bernat Maker, it's a huge skein, but it's generally around 10 bucks. I can make 1 wall hanging out of 1 and just probably a quarter of another skein. So if you did that 3-pack, you could make at least 2 wall hangings, if not 3. If you made them just a little bit smaller, the dimensions of the cream colored one I did, you could easily get 3 wall hangings along with the fringe out of that 3-pack that was 15 bucks. So talk about a great market item that doesn't take very long at all. They work up quickly once you get the hang of it, and you can sell them like crazy, especially if you like maybe source some little sticks from your backyard. You don't have to buy, you know, the dowel rods or anything, which it looks super cute anyway. If you can find some rustic little sticks. I like to find like big, fat, chunky ones. And I'll show y'all how to attach it to the stick, but it is way easy. I don't even crochet it onto the stick, really. I pretty much just sew it, or not sew, but loop yarn around it. So, all right, so we're heading on down. We've got that one. We're gonna skip a chain, put your double crochet stitch in there. Remember, keep it loose. So if you're a tight crocheter, you need to keep reminding yourself loose, or just go up another hook. Like I said, I have used an L hook on this. I prefer a J just because it makes the stitches a little more neat and compact. But you know, you do you. You're the boss of your crochet, right? I like to say that about knitting too. Like, you're the boss of it. Figure out what works for you and go for that. This is all just supposed to make us happy anyway. It's just a wall hanging, y'all, right? All right, make sure you're pulling up. See those messy loops? I'm pulling up, going back in, pulling up, going back in. You do that 3 times, 7 on your hook. We're almost there with the fiddly one, and I'm gonna show y'all. It's essentially just a 1 row repeat. I guess it's 2, but honestly it's the same thing over and over. But it gets so easy, you will fly through it once you get past your initial row. You can hear my dog breathing. He whistles when he breathes, when he's sleeping. He's like ancient, so he probably has emphysema or something like that. All right, just a couple more. Oh, and I just want to show y'all the stitch when you get to the end of the row. Hopefully you're just following along doing it. And you can even practice this with other yarn. If you don't have the tubular knit yarn, just grab any yarn and just practice the puff stitch, because at first my puff stitches they kind of looked a tiny bit wonky. It's kind of weird pulling up so high if you've never done one before. But once you get used to it, it is so easy, and they are delightful to make. Look how big this thing is growing. You see that? So in the pink one, the one I'm making, I'm gonna have 9 puff stitches across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're just gonna do one more, skip that one chain, double crochet. And a cool way to keep up with your puff stitches, because they are diagonal or kind of crisscross, you just count your puff stitches each row if you think you might get off or something like that. But, all right, so we've got our 9 puff stitches. When you get to the end of the row, we are going to place a half double crochet in the end of the row. Not a double. You can do a double if your wall hanging is just pulling really bad, but honestly, because the puff stitches are slanted, they are shorter than a double crochet. See how our double crochet is it's like an X. It's inside there and then the puff stitch. So place a half double in the end there, and then chain 2 for the height, loosely, not tight, loosely, and then turn. Congratulations, you made it through that first fiddly row. And each row, whenever I finish it, I stretch it. Grab it and stretch it. This yarn, look at that, it's just delicious. But seriously, stretch it, because you will have to kind of mess with it a little bit to get it to lay flat. So, all right, so row 2. We're gonna do the same thing, but from here on out, this is how you create these puff stitches. So do you see, there's our puff right there. That is the chain 1. See the little triangle right here? That is our chain 1 that closed the puff stitch. That is where you're gonna place your double crochet. So place your double crochet in that chain 1 stitch. Remember, loose. See how it's at the top of the puff? Now come back just 1, and that's where you're gonna place your puff stitch. Yarn over. So see, there's where we're gonna place it, right in there. Pull up, go back in, pull up, one more time, go back in, pull up, and close it with a chain 1. And see, don't worry, if this is really loose, if your puff, don't worry about it. You're going for texture. Sometimes I like to bump up to a higher hook because it gives it almost a super textured, like not messy look, but you know, like this. You're going for super puff because this is a wall hanging. All right, congrats. You finished your first. See how this one is now slanting the opposite direction? All right, next one. Find your puff stitch. There's our chain 1. See the little V it makes?